this lesson, I'm sharing with you my fingerstyle arrangement of Daydream Believer. Now this arrangement only uses strings 1, 2, and 3. So you can follow along with high or low G tuning. Now let's begin with a demo and then we'll move into our tutorial. If you're enjoying this arrangement, please show my channel some love by giving this video a thumbs up. And if you're new here, then welcome. I'm Lara. I'm a musician and a composer, and I love to teach song tutorials and fingerstyle arrangements for all levels. If you'd like to support my teaching and my channel by joining my Patreon community, you'll gain access to hundreds of downloads, including song sheets, fingerstyle tabs, and songbooks. The link is down below in the video description. Next, in our tutorial, we'll focus on 3 sections of the song, step by step, to get you started. We begin this song introduction on a G chord. We'll start by picking strings 3 and 1 together, then the second string, and then for the rest of the measure, we'll go back and forth 3 times between the first string and the second string. So here's how we count measure 1 at a slow tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. Measure 2 is played the same way, but we're going to lift up our middle finger to open up the first string. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then measure 3 is played the same way as measure 1. 1, into verse 1. In measure 4, we'll keep our index finger in place on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and we'll move our middle finger to the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. The first string is open, and we'll pick strings 1, 2, and 3 together. Then we'll place down our ring finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, and pick the 1st string 3 times. And then we'll keep our index finger in place, lifting up our middle finger and placing down our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Here we'll pick strings 2 and 3 together to end measure 4. Then in measure 5, we'll place our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. Then we'll pick the 2nd string with our ring finger still in place. And to end measure 5, we'll pick strings 1, 2, and 3, all open strings. In measure 6, we'll place our ring finger back down on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Then we'll pick the open 1st string. And now we'll use our ring finger, middle finger, and index finger to cover the 2nd fret of strings 1, 2, and 3. Now another option here is to play this as a bar chord with your index finger if this is more comfortable. Now let's count the rhythm of measures 4, 5, and 6 at a slow tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Our partial B minor chord carries over to the beginning of measure 7, and then we'll go up to the 5th fret of the 1st string with our pinky, then down to the 2nd fret with our index finger, then the 3rd fret of the 2nd string with our middle finger. Here you can use your ring finger if you prefer, and then we'll finish measure 7 on the open 3rd string. Then in measure 8 we go to the open 2nd string, 3rd fret of the 2nd string using our ring finger, and we finish measure 8 on the open 1st string. In measure 9, we'll move our index finger to the 5th fret of the 1st string. We're also going to play the 7th fret of strings 2 and 1, and here you can use either your ring finger and your pinky, or your middle finger and your ring finger, whichever is more comfortable. So we'll begin this measure by picking strings 1 and 2 together on frets 5 and 7. Then we'll pick the 1st string twice, then the 7th fret of the 1st string, and now we're moving to a partial E minor chord with our ring finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string and our middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. We'll pick strings 2 and 3 together, and then moving into measure 10, we'll pick the 2nd string, then the open 1st string, and now we're going to play the 2nd fret of the 1st string. Here I like to use either my middle finger or my ring finger to keep my index finger free to form the A7 chord that comes next. So we'll place down our index finger on the 1st fret of the 3rd string, picking strings 1, 2, and 3 together to end measure 10. Then in measure 11, we'll pick the 3rd string, then the open 2nd string, then the 3rd fret of the 2nd string using our ring finger, and then in measure 12 we'll place down our index finger and middle finger on the 2nd fret of strings 3 and 2, picking strings 1, 2, and 3 together, just like we did in measure 4. Now let's count the rhythm of measures 9 through the beginning of measure 12 at a slow tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. The next several measures are very similar to what we've just covered, so let's move to the chorus. In measure 21, we have our ring finger on the 7th fret of the 1st string. We'll pick strings 1, 2, and 3 together, then just the 1st string, then we go to the 9th fret of the 1st string with our pinky, then we lift up our pinky to go back to the 7th fret, and then in measure 22 we'll place down our middle finger on the 7th fret of the 2nd string, picking strings 1 and 2 together. Then we'll lift up our ring finger, placing down our index finger on the 5th fret of the 1st string. And this carries through to the end of measure 22. In measure 23, we'll go to a standard C chord, picking strings 1, 2, and 3 together, then the 1st string, and now we'll place down our pinky on the 5th fret of the 1st string and our index finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, picking strings 1 and 2. Then just the first string, and now we form an E minor chord, picking strings 1, 2, and 3 together. This carries over through the first 2 beats of measure 24, and then we'll pick the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, keeping our middle finger in place, and then the open 1st string to end measure 24. Measure 25 starts with a rest on the 1st beat, and then we'll go to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string with our index finger, then the 5th fret of the 1st string with our ring finger, then the 7th fret with our pinky, and then in measure 26 we'll lift up our pinky, keeping our ring finger in place on the 5th fret, picking strings 1, 2, and 3. And now we go down to the 3rd fret with our middle finger, 2nd fret with our index finger, and back to the 3rd fret. Measure 27 begins with a partial G chord. Here we have our index finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string and our middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. We'll pick strings 2 and 3 together. Then we go to the 5th fret of the 1st string using our pinky. And next we're going to play the 3rd and then the 2nd frets of the 1st string. And you can use either your middle finger and index finger, or you can use your ring finger and then middle finger. The second option makes it a bit easier to form the A7 chord that comes next in measure 28, picking strings 1, 2, and 3 together. Then to finish measure 28, we'll use our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then in measure 29, we'll place down our index and middle fingers on the 2nd fret of strings 3 and 2, picking strings 1, 2, and 3 together. And this completes the chorus. For more of my easy fingerstyle tabs, see this playlist here. I hope you have fun learning Daydream Believer, and thanks for watching.